This episode of Coffeenated is sponsored by iCor. Hi, my name is Elson Fernandez. Welcome to Coffeenated, Daily Garden's podcast series in partnership with Ubra Shared Space and Cafe Lounge. Iloilo City is becoming more and more colorful with all the mural projects recently. In fact, it's one of the highlights of this recent renaissance that we're all witnessing. At the forefront of this renaissance is today's guest, Mr. Drilon. Rock spent the past 4 decades outside of Iloilo as the manager of the Magnet Gallery and has done several exhibits throughout the Philippines and abroad. Thus, it's no coincidence that his return in the past 7 years has coincided with the recent rejuvenation of the local art scene. He tells us about how Iloilo is becoming a center for art and how talent in Iloilo is as varied and as impressive as anywhere. He also cites the challenges to the growth of these artists and what we can do to push them further. So, Sir Rock Drilon, thank you for sitting with us on Coffeenated.
Thank you.
For my first question, how did you really start your journey through art, like your inclination towards art?
Since I was little, before elementary, my canvas would be the walls of the house. And then in schooling, I would always be known as the artist in the class. So my teachers were very supportive. In fact, my grade one school teacher gave me materials so that I could pursue. So it's like I was programmed all the way, since I was little until college. So graduated Artist of the Year, elementary and high school, then pursued it in UP Diliman.
But your formal training began in UP Diliman, or
I had mentoring. Again, that same teacher had a professional artist, so I would go to Iloilo City to learn from him every weekend. And then later on, I would be asked to do backdrafts of school programs. So that's how it started. But professionally, even in college, I was already having shows. So my first one-man show was held when I was in third year. In
okay.
UP.
So as you journeyed through becoming an artist, a professional artist, what were the challenges that you faced? And what do you think you can advise to younger artists who are upcoming now here in Iloilo?
The challenges are always there, never ending. So iba-ibang levels lang. So when you thought you have overcome one challenge, there's another challenge. So it's a never ending. It's part of, as you said, the journey. Any profession, I guess.
And in Iloilo now, there seems to be a sort of renaissance in that it's becoming more art focused with murals being painted on blank walls. And then there are so many other artist groups that are starting to have exhibits. There's the Ilomoka. Why do you think that is? Why is there this renewed focus on art?
Um, for now, for the past, since Mayor Treñas took over, it even added, to what was already happening, because he's very supportive. And his wife, Rosalie, is now chairman of the first Iloilo Summer Arts Festival, which covers all the disciplines. This will be in April and May, but some of the activities are already starting, like workshops. Yesterday, Gabe Mercado did a workshop for improvisation theater, and then Antipas de Lotavo also last week. So these activities will continue. There will be exhibitions, concerts, and it covers a varied ways of doing art, from classical to avant-garde.
What is your personal style when it comes to art?
I'm an abstractionist sa painting ko. But I still do drawings, figurative, though they're not really in the traditional means anymore. Um, I also sometimes perform within the visual context, and I also compose. So I do I perform playing the guitar in intimate audiences.
So you're really a performer at heart, yeah. And
An artist, kasi music is a daily thing for me. It's like breathing. I do it only for myself mostly.
how do you see the local art community in Iloilo though?
Good. I think it's in the right direction. We have the different groups, big ones and small ones. We have venues. We have formal venues, galleries. We also have alternative spaces, and the output of the Ilonggo artists are varied and huge. The only thing that's not catching up maybe is the patronage. So
Yeah.
you have the output, but the patronage is
There's a
here.
supply but there's no demand right now.
Uh, Maybe he hasn't caught up yet, but support, media support like Guardian, it always cover us the exhibitions, sometimes full page, and the LGU is very supportive.
But how important is art to the growth of the city, for example?
I always believe that hard development, should always be accomplished. Go side by side with soft development. So when you say hard development, ito yung infrastructure, roads. Pero when you say soft development, uh, it's like making a house, a home. No? So art, environment. So when you build roads, there should be bike lanes, there should be sidewalks, union. That's very important. That development should embrace art.
And actually now with the murals project and so many other the bridges are being painted.
Mm.
How do you feel this affects people who pass by or see these things?
That's good because then the canvas or the exhibit is not only limited to the galleries, to the museums, but actually the city becomes a gallery. So these murals are actually uh, just like art in a gallery, except that the gallery becomes the city. And these are curated. They're not spontaneous. They're curated and they're sponsored. Every lead artist and assistants, all the way to the assistants, are they get something. They get honorariums. Only the paint are sponsored.
So it's also a direct thrust of the government itself to support the artists. How did the murals project come about? How did it begin?
The mural project started actually 4 years ago at the Atria during the VPXCon when I was chairman. So we negotiated with Ayala. So we started with four. Now I think they went on their own. So Atria now has about 14. And then the mayor picked it up. Kasi Atria lang limited to the Ayala Township. So the mayor picked it up and spread it around the city. And so we collaborated with him. So we took care of the groups, the different groups, and then identify the walls. We have run out of walls. So I hope more people will allow their walls to be painted. There will be more.
Actually, there is this city. It's called Tirana in Albania, where before right now it's one of the most colorful cities in the world. But before that, it was living in tremendous poverty, and people were that were called to be very unhappy. But then the mayor started painting one building a bright orange, then had two questions. Do you like the color? And do you want it to stop? I think around 60 plus percent said that they like the color, then 30% don't. And then in the second question, everybody wanted it to continue. And then slowly they started painting all the buildings in Tirana. And then soon, everything started picking up. The economy, more businesses started coming in. People felt more secure, more safe, and generally happier. Is that what Iloilo is trying to achieve now with the mural?
Well, you also have to direct it
Mm.
because, for example, it's okay to do morbid, scary, and depressing paintings if it's studio or gallery bound. But if you do it in public, you don't want it to do depress or scare or disturb the public. So we tell our artists that also that's because that's what the first lady and the mayor want. No? So we tell the artists to do anything except to scare people or
So
to.
there's a lot of creative freedom outside of preventing scaring. The artists can do whatever they want as long as they don't.
Yes, they
Shock
usually
the
present
audience.
a study, and then the mayor looks at it. There's also the group that look at what they plan to do, and then there's coordination as far as the logistics are concerned, like paint brushes, scaffoldings. Mahirap yung bridge, baka mahulog sila. So, kailangan may maganda yung scaffold.
And I think during Dinagyang, people were still painting the bridge at the same time.
Until now, it's not finished. Hanggang yung paa. Pipinturahan yun,
okay.
no?
So it's really all the whole
They're
thing.
just having problem with how the scaffoldings would be installed kasi yung pasok.
And passion is, I mean, that takes a lot of passion to do something like that.
A lot of yes, I think inspired sila, no? Inspired sila. The honorarium is not really that much, pero they like it that they become part of the city's vision in embracing and bringing art to the public, to the people.
And I think that I want to go back to what you said earlier. Like when you do art, they want to communicate certain emotions like depression or trying to scare people, or this time about happiness. Like how expressive can you be, or how do you tie back this idea of communicating through art? Like, well, how about you personally? How do you communicate through your art?
Okay. It's so difficult to put words in what I do. Ganito na lang. I express in visual terms, so they should be absorbed in visual terms also. In the way that if you listen to music, you use your sense of hearing, not words. No? So, kailangan i-baguhin yung mindset na kailangan may literary is literature, di ba? You read and then you use words to ready-made symbols to express, and then it's read also in words. But visual terms, artists they do their own symbols, not words but visual. So when you absorb it as a layman, you should also absorb it visually in the way that you use your sense of hearing if you want to understand music.
But do you try to evoke an emotion, or try to
Always
an idea?
emotions, ideas, concepts. No, so they're not all about feelings. They're also sometimes about thoughts, ideas.
Especially with yours, it's
Yes.
abstractionism. So it's even more open to interpretation about how you consume it visually then as an audience. But in terms of budding artists, for example, what tips would you give them in their attempts to communicate themselves through, let's say, the mural projects or even in their gallery work?
Um, Beyond my expectation, how these kids are doing the murals. So, some of them are doing history. One did Binukot. The one did Magbanwa. One did the contribution of the Chinese community to our development. So iba-ibang pananaw. And ano, it's maganda when it's varied. So some the art bridges seem to go towards abstraction.
But what is the vision then of the city with regard to all these street art or public art scenes? Like, what does Iloilo really hope to achieve with these projects?
Um, for people to notice, for as you said, yung kwento mo about Albania. So hopefully that will also result to that.
Mm. People will be happier, feel more secure.
Uh, yeah, art is positive, di ba? It's the well-being of the city in the same way that parang siya yung kwan in environment, for example. If you have mini forest within the city, these are the lungs. So if you have art in the street, same thing, no? Makakahinga ka. At saka yung thoughts, yung minds ng mga tao, nakakahinga, no? They're challenged also. They're something to look up to. In the same way na if you have trees everywhere, mas parang lang siya ng city. So same with art.
Okay, I like that idea, but we'll take a break, and then when we get back, we'll talk about more why you personally, your own personal art style, and why you decided to move back to Iloilo after already being established elsewhere. After the break. This episode of Coffeenated is brought to you by iCore. We talk a lot about self-improvement and taking opportunities to success in this podcast. The perfect first step toward that success is with iCore. iCore is gearing up for more employment opportunities this March. Apply and get hired under any of their regular accounts and get a chance to win a vacation package for 3 at Andana Resort Guimaras. Drop by their iCorean recruitment cafe with an updated resume and get hired on the spot. Now is the best time as they are mass hiring customer service representatives. Senior high school students are also welcome to apply, so take that first step towards success with iCore. iCore. Be more with iCore. We have a lot of fun shooting Coffeenated, but this episode is a little more special because in this episode, we'll be giving away 2 Realme phones, the Realme 5i and the Realme 5 Pro. My brother and I have already reviewed these phones on Double Team and on Daily Guardian. Links for these reviews will be in the description below. But to win these phones, you'll have to do 4 things. First, you'll have to like Daily Guardian on Facebook. Second, like Double Team on Facebook. Third, like Prometheus Enterprises, our producer, on Facebook. And finally, share this podcast on Facebook. Once this video gets up to 100 shares, we'll give away the Realme 5i. Once it gets up to 200 shares, we'll give away the Realme 5 Pro. These are very nice phones, and thank you, Realme, for sending them over. All of the links to all the pages you'll have to like will be in the description below. Good luck. So, welcome back to Coffeenated. We're here with our guest, Sir Drilon. You spent 3 decades outside of Iloilo. You managed
4.
4 decades. Then you managed Magnet Gallery. What made you decide to come back to Iloilo after all these years?
My mother, she got sick, but she used to go back and forth, US, kasi she migrated. But eventually, she didn't want to go back to the US anymore. And I was the only one single. I mean, uh, naging single ako. Uh, so I was the one who came here, set her up.
So you came here because of your mother,
Yes, yes.
and you stayed here for the past
And
7 years.
then I like it and started getting involved in building the art community. Started with the Cinematheque, the FDCP, which was not only doing films but also hosting art exhibits. When you make a film, kasi you have all sorts of artists involved, no? Writers, musicians, visual artists. So tama lang na the the FDC the Cinematheque become a hub. So it became a hub, and eventually it became a center. No? They renamed it a center because of the function that it was doing. It provided a third force aside from UP Visayas Museum at saka Museo Iloilo. And it became the base of the art groups. Not only visual artists, but different artists. Um, so yun, and then aside from the art community, also the bike community, also helped
Yeah, kasi you're
build
also a bike enthusiast and advocate.
and trying also to help with the with environment. No? So also involved in the yung mini forest that the mayor is planning at the Lanit area, 3 hectare.
But if Iloilo City has a vision for the public art scene, what is your personal vision for Iloilo in terms of art?
Um, well, nandiyan na yung venues. I hope they're more professionalized, not necessarily commercialized. That's a different thing. Professionalized is doing the right gallery practices. Of course, the money is also part of it, but not necessarily the only motivation. So, more media support, yes, we're very happy. Yun lang, yung vision is, I hope, patronage would catch up because this is really where the artist can be sustained. The we have so many buildings, walls need buildings, and yet what did they put there? They get they buy frames that are made 1,000 times from China, and they cost that with frames sometimes 5,000, 10,000, and you can get an Ilonggo painting by a young artist by that amount. So why not? Why not start to patronize?
So you wouldn't call Iloilo a hub for art yet, right now?
I think it's getting there, except the patronage has not caught up. It has to. We have we have so many Manid Ilonggos. They still buy in Manila,
Yes.
and we have a lot of Ilonggo talents now, and a lot of outputs. Same thing with films. You know that we have over 100 films in Ilonggo. Many full lengths and shorts. And Cine Kasimanwa has been ongoing for 7 years.
Why do you think there's a lack of patronage, though, considering the level of talent of Ilonggo artists?
I don't know. I asked one collector. His name is Arsenio Rafael. We he claims that we started him. So in one collected about 350 artworks. So he must have about 200 plus Ilonggo paint art by Ilonggo artists. So sabi ko sa kanya, sana you can multiply. 10 kayo, gano'n. But it never happened. So Maybe it should be known that art is also investment. No? So I collect. I myself I collect. So I have some Manila artists, some Ilonggo artists. Recently, I've been also patronizing artists by Dumangas artists. No? And through the years, I've been collecting since siguro mga 2 decades na. Ang sa mga paintings, nagdadagdagan ng zero. So yung 30K naging 300,000 after 5, 6 years. So maybe if they eventually notice, a mass-produced painting from China that they have will never have value, diba? But if you buy Nilongo artists, that Ilonggo artists will become famous because most of these artists, every time they exhibit year after year, nag-increase yung kanilang
The value of
value
the
ng
work.
paintings nila.
So it does so many things if you patronize our own work. It supports our artists.
Yes.
It's also an investment.
Yes.
And then it paves the way for the next generation as well.
Yes,
Start
yes,
doing
yes,
that.
yes.
So there is a
You sustain in a real sense what's happening. So it's not only for show exhibitions. Because eventually, if patronage does not catch up, yan, magkakaroon ng problema.
Yeah, and the artists will stop being artists.
They will stop or they will go somewhere else
Yeah, they will go somewhere else.
where
And then-
they can.
Yeah. And then they won't carry the Ilonggo.
Maybe
Title.
they will always.
But we should be supporting our artists, definitely.
I think so. Artists are very dangerous people without venue, without support, without.
But there are whispers, there is talk that you are in the art community, you are the unofficial godfather. How do you feel about that?
I don't think so. It's a teamwork. No? So we work with all like-minded people. When you build a community, there's no such thing as I. So, once you hear somebody do that, beware. It should be a team effort. The same way that if you do something with generation, of a kind of journalism, it's a team effort. It's not just you or you.
So, with that said, do you mentor young artists now?
Yeah,
Since you had your own mentor growing up.
yeah. But my mentoring is not academic, so it's very informal.
It's very informal. So, would you say that does an artist need formal education as an artist?
A lot of artists now are self-taught in Iloilo. Many of them are architecture graduates. A few are fine arts graduates. So that's fine. In history, we have a lot of artists who are not necessarily fine arts trained or fine university trained. For example, workshop is very important. There's a show ongoing on now at the Cinematheque Center by the Dumangas artists. They're a product of Art Cocoon. Art Cocoon is, the way you understand, is the chrysalis, the nagiging butterfly. So the workshop, we put them in a cocoon for about 2 to 3 weeks, and we have facilitators coming in. They can still go out, but when they're there, they're taught as individuals and as collaborators. So after the workshop, they organize themselves as a group.
So it's interesting to find that normally the artists that I know are eccentric, and the focus really is on the art, right? Because that's what they do, that's what they're good at, that's how they express themselves. So I'm happy to know that there's a workshop that's teaching them soft skills, like how to talk to people, how to brand themselves, how to collaborate with others. This is quite an underrated skill when it comes to art. So, how do you translate that?
Ganun naman talaga eh. Na cliche lang kasi na pag artist, starving or crazy. Maybe they are crazy, but crazy, positive, no? Hindi buang or violent or yun. It's, kahit sino naman eh. If you take care of that soft skill, you call it, may advantage palagi. Whatever you do.
So, sir, do you have any upcoming shows or exhibits?
I just had one at Mamusa, solo show. But we're coming up with a group show, 5 of us, Ilonggo Abstractionists at the Ilomoka, with Elaine Hablo.
When is this, sir?
On March 13, to open on March 13. Punta kayo?
Yes, sir, we will there. We'll be there, definitely.
Sige. Sure, ha?
Yes, sir.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay. So, thank you, sir, for sitting with us on Coffeenated, and hopefully we'll get to discuss with more interesting people over the next cup of coffee.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for watching and listening. This has been Coffeenated, Daily Gardens podcast in partnership with Ubra Shared Space and Cafe Lounge. This episode was shot in their boardroom and is brought to you by ICO. Coffeenated is produced by Prometheus Enterprises. Special thanks to Creative Clutter and Gino Faniega.